it is what is going to be used in the future, Madam Speaker. If we approve a nominee today who has a case in court, who has a live case in court, Madam Speaker, of murder case, a capital offense, Madam Speaker, tomorrow, anybody can be brought to this House with any kind of cases, Madam Speaker, and passed, because you will have set the standard that one time the Parliament of the Republic of Kenya passed a nominee with a murder case, Madam Speaker. And I'm not judging anyone. We cannot say she's guilty of the offense or she's not guilty of the offense. That is the courts to decide, not us, Madam Speaker. We need to let the court do their work, let the court judge her, acquit her, or convict her, Madam Speaker. Then from there, we can make a decision as a House, Madam Speaker, whether that person is fit to hold the office of a Cabinet Secretary, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, look at the world democracy, Madam Speaker. Look at developed countries, Madam Speaker. Look at the democracies that we borrow from, Madam Speaker. Leave alone being charged in court, Madam Speaker. When even allegation is put against you, whether they are true or false, until you clear your name, until you are told to step aside. Madam Speaker, public officers who are in office, governors who have been charged in court were barred from their offices, Madam Speaker. Public officers who were taken to court were all told to leave office, Madam Speaker. What is the moral authority we have as a House to pass today in the floor of this House, Madam Speaker, a Cabinet Secretary who has a case in court, Madam Speaker? Madam Speaker, the other nominee that was rejected unanimously by the committee is Honorable Madam Malonza. Madam Speaker, I don't want to speak like the way my colleague spoke here, whether she's a female, whether no. We were not looking at gender. Madam Speaker, we were looking at the suitability and the competence of that individual to hold that high office of a Cabinet Secretary, Madam Speaker. And if, in the eyes of the committee felt that the person did not stand up to the requirement of that office, Madam Speaker.
What is out of order, Honorable Makali Mulu?
Yeah, thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I didn't want to disturb my colleague and friend, Honorable Junet, but I think when he says that they were not looking at gender, that is unconstitutional. The Constitution demands that they must consider gender as one of the key factors when looking at these things. Thank you very much.
Honorable
Madam
Junet.
Speaker, Dr. Makali is somebody I respect highly. But Madam Speaker, the reason of our failure was not because of our gender. That's what I meant. And if that gender is not suitable for that office, Mr. Speaker, there are many qualified Kamba women, Mr. Speaker, in this country who can hold that office. She's not the only Kamba in Kenya. So, Mr. Speaker, I was just saying she was not disqualified based on her gender. Let us not bring the gender card on the table now just because she's a female lady, a female nominee who has been rejected by the committee, Madam Speaker. So, Madam Speaker, what I want to say is that Parliament is being watched by Kenyans, Madam Speaker. Parliament is being tested. This country, this Parliament has a destiny with the people of Kenya, Madam Speaker, on the approval of these nominees. Kenyans want to know whether we are a conveyor belt. Kenyans want to know whether we are a rubber stamp, Madam Speaker, for the executive. We must stand up and tell the executive they are wrong when they are wrong. There are many Kenyans who are qualified that they can bring back to this House, Madam Speaker. There are over 30 million Kenyans who can do the job of a Cabinet Secretary, Madam Speaker. It's not only me and you and others who have been nominated, Madam Speaker. The reason why the Constitution, Madam Speaker, gave the approval of nominees of Cabinet Secretary to the House, Madam Speaker, there is a valid reason for that, Madam Speaker. Look at what happens in the United States, Madam Speaker. If we approve these members just because we are part of the party that is forming government, Madam Speaker, we shall be doing injustice to Kenyans, Madam Speaker. You must rise up and stand up and defend the rights of Kenyans, Madam Speaker, whether it is favoring you or it's not favoring your party, Madam Speaker. So for that reason, Madam Speaker, I want to urge this House to agree with the minority that we reject those 3 nominees so that we can have other Kenyans nominated who are qualified, who can do the work for this country, Madam Speaker. When you are made a Cabinet Secretary, you're not going to serve your family. You're not going to serve your wife or